Last season, almost every single team opted for stability and continuity with their driver lineups going into these brand new regulations. What that meant is that it was a very stale driver market, with the only major changes being within the Red Bull family. However, all of that will change for this season with a lot of drivers out of contract. And so, here is 5 drivers who I think for various reasons are all under pressure to keep their seats for 2027. Well, when it comes to Esteban Ocon, right from the off, I think it's worth saying that even his own team principal had some pretty punchy things to say during Bahrain testing and essentially admitted that H expected more from Ocon last season when he went up against a rookie Ollie Beeman. He is a teammate against a rookie. Yes, an amazing rookie, but nonetheless, he's got 10 years of F1 under his belt. He is a race winner. He is a podium finisher, so we expected more from him. Or when your own team principal comes out and says that he expected more from you, that definitely puts you into the crosshairs, whether you like it or not. There is no doubt that off the back of being beaten by a rookie old man last season, who granted was already somewhat established within H having raced for them once the year prior, that now puts Ocon in a very vulnerable position for 2026. I think it's fair to say that Esteban has been a bit of a complicated character. He has had more than his fair share of spiky relationships with ex-teams, and especially ex-teammates, which luckily hasn't manifested yet with Behrman. The problem is that when you combine the fact that Ocon is already at the top of his development curve, and the fact that he also comes with a little bit of baggage along with him as well, if he is not then beating a rookie teammate at his very first attempt, then the incentive to keep him for H becomes less and less. What I do think, however, might play in Ocon's favour, even if he does get beaten by Behrman again, is that if Ferrari decide that it's just not working with Lewis Hamilton and that Behrman is the natural successor as a Ferrari Junior, it might put H in a situation where Ocon is the local move to main stability as they try to find a replacement for Behrman, with potentially Jack Dan in the running, who has joined the team to really sees their reserve driver, over his reign through the roof ramp. Another year and yet another Red Bull teammate for Max Verstappen. Right from the off, Hadjar is already going into the season on the back foot, because during pre-season testing, and not only did he have that crash in Barcelona, but in Bahrain, he also got the majority of the bad luck when it came to reliability. Max Verstappen did the 8th most laps out of any driver on the grid, whilst Hadj did the 20th most laps. This is very similar to what happened with Lawson in the Red Bull last year with a compromised pre-season. And it really is a worst-case scenario for a young driver who'll be heavily scrutinized from day one up against Max Verstappen as to how he performs and how he's going to be able to cope with the RB22. Given the all-new management at Red Bull with no her and no Marco, it will be very interesting to see what effect that will have in the way which the team handles Isack Hadjar, and more importantly how they support him, when inevitably in only his 2nd season in Formula 1, he is going to go through some difficult races. The Red Bull situation is also complicated by the fact that there is also a lot of uncertainty around Max's future as well, and how that will intertwine with Hadjar's future if yet again Max is totally carrying the team, but also wants to leave, will be very interesting to see. What I do think is in Hadjar's favour is that looking at Checo's time at Red Bull, his best season relative to Max was that very first season of the ground effect rules in 2022, when there were bigger gaps amongst the front running and midfield teams, and thus more room for error, other than that early recalibration period which might allow Hadjar to be closer to Max artificially before Max fully adapts to the current generation of cars. I am genuinely worried for Isack Hadjar, because even though he is clearly a very talented driver, even if he fails at Red Bull, his lack of experience and how he will deal mentally with the pressure of racing for Red Bull is the biggest unknown. Maybe the team will feel extra motivation after all of these years of chopping and changing drivers to persist with Isack Hadjar. But the fact is that there will always be drivers waiting to take his seat in the junior team. And we also have to acknowledge that what happened to Liam Lawson last year could easily happen to Hodge this year. Liam Lawson feels like a driver who's a little bit in limbo going into 2026. Last year he had that disastrous start and was dropped by Red Bull after just 2 races. And then even when he returned to Racing Bulls, who had a very good car that was capable of podiums, He was comfortably beaten by a rookie Isack Hadjar, who then quickly superseded him and was promoted to Red Bull. I personally do not think that Red Bull will ever go back to Liam Lawson. Even if Hadjar's performances become untenable, their history is pretty clear that they are always looking for the next young driver and not the one that failed previously. And so with that in mind, Lawson's sole focus, in my opinion, for this season has to be on finding a long-term home somewhere else on the grid like Gasly did with Alpine to revitalize his F1 career. To me, Lawson is in a lose-lose situation almost regardless of what he does because everyone expects for him to beat Lindblad given his inexperience. However, even if he does, I don't think that that's going to get him back into the Red Bull. And if for some reason he gets beaten by Lindblad, then that almost certainly means the end of his F1 career altogether. Whilst a lot of people have been critical of Lawson, I genuinely believe that in the right environment, he has got the speed and the fighting mentality to be a quality midfield driver who is capable of podiums akin to someone like Ocon, Hülkenberg or Gasly. But this is now where he has got to prove his worth and potential not necessarily to Red Bull, but to the other teams on the grid who'll be looking for drivers in 2027. I think that we will know if Lewis Hamilton has a future at Ferrari and in Formula One in general within the first 5 or 6 races of the season. I think it's very easy to assume that if Lewis starts off struggling with these new cars and struggling up against that, all he'll need is a little bit of time to adapt. But that has not been the reality. If you compare how competitive he was at the start of 2022 compared to the end of 2025, he did not get better with more experience. He got worse, and so we will know almost immediately if these cars will be able to reignite something in Lewis Hamilton to reinvigorate his competitiveness, or if this will almost certainly be his final season in the sport. Or what worries me already as we head into a crucial season for Lewis where he is under pressure and his future is in doubt, is that we are a week away from Australia and Lewis still doesn't have a confirmed permanent race engineer. We all knew that the Adami partnership was a disaster, but I can't believe that the decision to split them wasn't made back in December so that Lewis could have the whole off-season in the simulator and during pre-season testing to start building that relationship with his new engineer for 2026. To me, last year, Lewis felt isolated at Ferrari with people that didn't really work effectively as a team, which only compounded his struggles, especially when the car's performance declined and the team's incompetence increased. Something that I think will also be working against Lewis is that if Ferrari decided to replace him, then they don't have to hesitate over finding his replacement, which could have bought Lewis more time because Ollie Mann is right there just waiting for the phone call. Ferrari already know the level of talent that Mann is. And on top of it, for what it's worth, he'll also be a hell of a lot cheaper than Hamilton as well. I would love to see Lewis be able to fulfill his contract until the end of 2027 and leave the sport on his own terms with race wins and maybe even a title push. But his performances relative to last season and relative to what they had before with Science was simply unacceptable. I think it's fair to say that under Flavio Briatore Alpine has not exactly been a stable environment, and I think that reactionary approach is kind of what puts every driver of that team under a huge amount of pressure before we even get to their on-track performances. Even when Colapinto replaced Don, which we all knew was going to happen eventually, a few months later, Flavio was already hinting at the possibility of Franco being dropped for the remainder of the 2025 season. And there were even rumors that the team was sounding out Valtteri Bottas during the summer break to become the third different driver for that seat. With that kind of unpredictability from the management, it's going to be hard for Franco to truly feel like he has the full and undying support of the team, and to use that positive energy to give him more confidence as he continues to develop as a young driver. He's essentially going to have to manufacture some form of confidence from within himself with the knowledge that this isn't exactly a team that is massively invested in wanting to keep him. But with that in mind, what was quite encouraging towards the end of last season is that despite Alpine's uncompetitiveness, Colapinto did start to close the gap and beat Gasly in a few of the races. Having said that, it just feels like anything can happen with that seat for 2027. and as easily as Franco was able to get into that seat. If he is not able to score points with a car, which we think, with the Mercedes power unit, is going to be a points contender, he could just as easily be replaced if Flavio thinks the car is being wasted. Well, there you have it. If you did enjoy this video and want to support the channel, then don't forget to subscribe. That would be massively appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.